Thank you, Mr Speaker. Yes, it was a pleasure to work with the Justice and Electoral Committee on a number of some very worthwhile amendments to the Electoral Act. And yes, I did make a small contribution by suggesting some amendments, and I thank the Minister for her comments earlier in the day about that. But she's right in that New Zealand First is nevertheless going to still vote against this Act. And the reasons are for quite different purposes. It is not because of what this bill proposes in it, it is because what this bill leaves out that we are voting against it, because we have no other choice as a way of expressing our disapproval about what has been left out. So it is not a matter of what is in the bill, it's what is a matter is what is not in the bill. And there are two major concerns. One is the fact that the rules concerning broadcasting have not been dealt with as they should be, according to recommendations made by the committee itself. Totally left out of the bill altogether. Specifically, the Electoral Commission noted that the statutory tests of what constitutes an election program in the Broadcasting Act and an election advertisement in the Electoral Act have significant differences, which do cause difficulties when the Commission is called upon to consider complaints about broadcasting, as they were in fact required to do in the last election about some national broadcasting errors, if I can put it that way. And in both acts, the tests require an assessment of whether the program or advertisement appears to encourage voters to vote or to vote for a party or a candidate, to vote or not vote for a party or a candidate. But these two provisions differ in the exemptions they make. In the Broadcasting Act, it is stated that nothing in the prohibition on paid election programs, quote, restricts the broadcasting in relation to an election of news or comments or of current affairs programs, unquote. And the corresponding exemption in the Electoral Act is not restricted to news or current affairs, but applies to, quote, editorial content of 1, a periodical, 2, a radio or television program, 3, a publication on a news media internet site. So there are two quite different exemptions. And there were some very good submissions made to the committee favouring the removal of the electoral broadcasting provisions from the Broadcasting Act and confining them only to those in the Electoral Act. Very sensible and worthwhile submissions, and I'm flabbergasted that this bill doesn't do anything about solving that issue. As I've said, the Justice and Electoral Committee actually recommended aligning these two tests, but nothing has been done. And there is no explanation from the government. I can only assume that it's not including the amendments required to address this problem because of its own particular internal interests. Now, the other glaring omission regarding this bill concerns the MMP system itself. The issue is the so-called coattailing provision by which one electorate seat creates a threshold itself for list seats. There needs to be an end of that provision. It should have been attended to at the same time in this particular amendment bill. We have seen why that is necessary many times over the last 2 or 3 elections or more, because it runs against the interests of the MMP system itself with a reasonable threshold. It's something that recent polling shows the vast majority of people in this country want to see an end of. It's time that simply winning an electorate seat should not result in coattailing for whatever low percentage of the party vote currently enables a party without 5% of the list vote to bring more members into Parliament, when others without an electorate seat need 5%. It just doesn't make sense, and it needs to be attended to. That's all, Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Phil Goff.
Mr Chairman, there's one way of characterising this bill as it's reported back from the